click it off and back on, and then it might. Yeah, damn it. App settings, maybe it was in app settings or advanced options. Whoops. No.
Yeah, what the fuck?
Click fetch applications. Because you can't.
Because it's always better when there's more people staring over your shoulder. Here, click this, do that, do that.
I clicked back and it took me here.
Dashboard.
Outside my comfort zone now.
Dashboard doesn't do anything. But this does.
I'm not being every hour, but I don't think it's gonna work.
Yeah, and quite if you guys weren't here, I would have stopped a long time ago. I don't like this kind of shit.
No.
Yeah, split tunneling. Oh, the problem is it's the same app twice when a split tunnel, right?
Yeah. And there's an option to make it permanent, but.
But yeah, we can't get back to that somehow.
Yeah. I'm trying to figure out if I want 2 levels of
I know. That's why I
or-
did fighter. I mean, fighter probably would have been better for you. You're a lot more tankier, but I wanted action surge. And,
Well, Warlock gives me a bunch of great combat spells. They're level 1, but I can cast them at higher levels.
Exactly. Oh, that's.
Oh my god, this is a lot of
So
bullshit.
stuff like Witch Bolt or Hex.
Oh yeah. No, that'd be cool. I mean, I'd say do what you want, man. I just took fighter because I thought it'd be fun. I'm like, it may not be optimized, but why not?
Think about Cleric. Like, 2 more levels in Cleric.
I didn't see a lot 9th and 10th that I thought were just bang awesome. 8th was cool.
The big thing is.
I'm ready to give up.
I don't think it's going to work because you're trying to split tunnel the same app.
No, but when you multi-class,
Because you have
sets,
essentially.
you
Okay.
do get the increased proficiency.
So we're gonna
Right.
let's just shut it.
But 9th
I mean,
and 10th.
Scooter's play. Can he use
get
character
level
in
spell
place
slot,
for
but I
it?
didn't. I mean, other than
Can you
raise
do what?
that,
Can't
which
connect it.
No, you can't connect to the table.
I didn't see it.
I understand.
Oh,
That's
well,
why I
you will
did.
later though, right?
Tell him if
are running the game.
Yeah, when you're running it, we're still going to need that so you can run the game.
he can join. He just can't create a character until you are gaming.
So if he already has
Continue.
something, he can play around with it. Maybe we connect a half hour early and say.
Oh well,
hey,
he's got Skinny Mac,
Right.
whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know. But
Tell him if he's happy, he can do
Yeah,
another character.
have him
We
play
can't
an
do it.
existing character he already has.
But I still don't understand how he can connect to the table if he can.
Because you're going to be on the internet entirely. We're all going to connect from here to the internet to your table. So you're going to be VPN. Huh?
We will when you can.
We'll just go via an
you can
alias
connect
like we
locally,
always
or you
do.
can connect externally. And if he's going to be here, we all have to do one or the other. So
Okay.
since one's not here, we all are going to have to connect externally, which means we all are going to
But
have
that
to use
doesn't
the
require
internet.
the VPN thing.
It
When that
will on
comes.
your side.
So
You have to
I
keep,
should
keep the internet.
keep the app.
Yeah.
Okay.
I still think, I mean, what we're going to be prone to is that we're all going to share the same internet connection to connect to you, which you are literally feet from us.
Yeah, I just it makes me the whole VPN thing makes me nervous.
Sorry.
I don't like it.
Yeah, it's the only thing I can think of that works.
I'm with you.
Well, we'll try it. If it fails, then we'll say sorry. And
All
Get
right,
a
so I'm
passport
gonna
next
tell.
Well, hopefully you'll have it.
So what should I tell Stooner? We'll
he'll get a
know.
passport, and then we'll do our next game in Canada.
So you won't have master wins.
No, I know. You're right. That was a big one.
Yeah.
All right.
But I already have mass.
I think if I'm going to, I think I want to take 2 levels of Warlock. But what is the other? What is that?
And the thing is, I have mass healing word that does 1d4 plus 10. You know, and that's a bonus action spell. So I don't know. I think it's
Divine intervention is GM,
like 10%. I'm like,
Yeah.
that sounds real cool, but how?
and the GM gets to decide how much he wants to
Right.
rotate.
Yeah. So I'm like, I don't know. It's like a wish, right?
Yeah. And then anything at 10th level for this? No, we've already got. So Keeper of Souls is 7th level.
Yeah. Like I said, I think it's. What else?
Okay, so yeah, two levels of Warlock.
I think that's awesome.
So I'm telling him to make a character on his own table and then
Yep.
send me the XML.
Smart.
We're pushing this Witch Warlock.
And I think we should stop Mark's game at 12:30 to make sure that we're on by make sure shit's working by 1 o'clock. Because I definitely want to start on because I tell people to be there every week.
It'll give you time to work out any kinks right now.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, how's everybody doing?
All right, let me get back on the table. Fuck.
I'm just leveling up cutting my spells so I can cast them higher level when I choose to. It's crazy.
Shit just got real with that VPN.
So I give you guys free reign to remind me to use evasion and uncanny dodge. I'm trying to remember
Evasion, you just put on your character. You just
Oh,
put it
you
on.
just put it on?
Yeah,
Okay.
just put the word evasion
The
on
word
your
evasion.
combo tracker.
Is your
What's that?
Sentinel Raven, I can get dark vision because of a bird on my shoulder.
Aye, Poppy.
No sun's down there no more.
Yeah, I think we're finally good.
All right, let's see. I think the stream's back up. Yeah. All right, all right.
Now I can have 14 spells.
Just to double check coding on here, if I want to place an effect on me that everyone will have disadvantage attacks against me, it's grant against attack, right?
So this is a.
Place grant disattack on.
Remember this.
Caps
For
lock.
my brackish audacity. If there's no other creatures within 5 feet of me, they can be behind.
Do you
this
have
creature
remove
on attack,
curse?
They get sneak and chill. But if there's another
You get it
creature
as well.
not mine,
I picked it up. It's a third level spell. I got two.
Probably more like my person
Now,
is.
one of my
That's, I didn't see it, but yeah, that's why I started looking at it.
Can you take Warlock with the charisma minus one?
Huh?
Can you take Warlock with
I
multi-class
don't,
requirement?
you might be right. It might
Yeah. Probably can't.
Damn it. So many things.
Oh wow.
The cat.
Raven Queen would be awesome. Hex Witch would be awesome.
Mark, how do you deal with spells with dollar components? Rob doesn't worry about it, but Joe did want to make sure if it's consumed that we had it. How do you deal with it? Just so I don't want to get a spell.
I'm not gonna worry about it for this one. You guys got sufficient wealth and resources
Okay.
that you can just do what you
I
need to do.
appreciate that, so I can use Revivify. I'm gonna get magic circles pretty good, isn't it? Do you know?
Magic Circle.
I mean,
It's not very good. I've already
it's
got, you know what?
a
I've already
1
got-
hour, or it's a casting time of a minute.
Oh, I didn't see that. Yeah, you're right. I already have.
It's great when the DM doesn't know that.
Yeah, how many people try to cast Prayer of Healing in combat?
Right,
It's
right.
a
I've
10
seen
minute
that a lot.
thing.
I like that.
All right, well, we'll see you in 6 hours.
Guardian of Faith's pretty
All right,
good.
are you
though,
guys
right?
close enough to get started with role play?
I think so.
Probably, yeah, I know you want, yeah.
We need to get moving. Yeah,
Yeah,
if we're gonna get
this is
anywhere.
likely to take forever anyway. All right, so I'm gonna give you some background, which I'll read. So adventurers find themselves in the city of Erxam, where the Great River and the Elverside rivers merge before continuing to the sea 100 miles downstream. This is a peaceful land with much trade in furs, wheat, corn, and oddly enough, rare magical items. The walled town itself is on a mesa above the adjoining rivers, but the town has spilled its banks, so to speak, and is spread outside the walls. And my map doesn't show it that way, but just deal with it.
Yep.
Along the water is a floating woody city connecting the mesa of the town with ramps and gangways. The very outer limits of the city, a few miles from the center, you see a string of watchtowers, each freestanding without walls. Well, the city had walls since I wrote the description and built the map. So that's a rough piece. And this land, this city of Erxam is an independent state, so it's not part of any country. You're not sure what brought you here. You all arrived together independently. I think we're going to say you're all one party. And you know it's a place of intrigue and opportunity, and you think it shows great promise for your future, so you've been hanging out here for a while. In the town itself, and I'm going to, you should already have the map, but maybe I'll just reshare it. There we go. The city itself has the 3 rivers that go through, and kind of interesting features of the city. There's a very odd bridge, and so I'll draw a little arrow to it, I guess. But the bridge, if I how to draw it would work better. Come on. I used to know how to do this stuff. One of the bridges is made out of pure crystal. It was magically created, and it floats. It's the other one, actually. And it floats above the city, and everybody's like, what the hell? And no one knows if the bridge came first or the city came first. But it's one of the fascinations of the town. The other big feature of the town is this thing called the Ghan, and I'll describe this a bit more. But it's essentially the central market of the town. And there's a black obsidian hexagonal shape that has writing on it that actually reflects the news of things that occur in the area. We'll get to that in a second. But that's sort of the main spot of the town. And like all good adventures, you guys find yourselves in an inn.
Nice.
Yes.
Love it.
And the inn is called the Evenstead.
Man, there's a glare coming off.
Oh,
On that computer.
Yeah,
Oh, it's on the computer?
he turned it so it does more on it.
There's a little cloud cover for you.
You need the cloud cover.
Good.
It's only gonna last 20 minutes.
so I'm just going to add some more background that you can all read. But
Yeah, I was reading
I
it.
kind of give you the highlight reel. The interesting thing about the Ghan, as it's called by the natives, is it's the heart of commerce in the town, and all the major roads that go in and out go through here. And you can think of it like the Times Square of Erskine, right? Everybody's there, and it's lights and pictures, because there is a whole bunch of writing on this polygon that actually describe news of the world. And that makes Erskine one of the great trading cities, because people know if there's a storm here and the price of wheat's going to go up, they trade on it. And so there's a big mercantile exchange. In fact, the city itself is actually run pretty much by the merchants. This is a whole lot of text to share, but
Backstory.
and yeah, the big backstory piece. But the key thing here is the guild members run the town, but there is a Lord Mayor, and the Lord Mayor is a mage. The council runs the day-to-day business, and the Lord Mayor really intervenes when the guild masters get too damn greedy. And it causes problem either for the city residents or the spellcasters who are quite prevalent in this town. And it's interesting to note the Lord Mayor's solution to these kind of problems usually involves lots of fireballs. And it has a very good damping effect on the excesses of the merchants and the guild masters. The city also has a large standing guard, but the standing guard is not so much the police and the constabulary, but really the people that keep the other nations from attacking the wealth of the city. So they're really more of an external force. And what you've observed in the few days you've been here is there's not a lot of crime. And you hear whispers from people of a secret guard called the Illyrium. And you think they're magic users that really keep the city safe. And basically what happens is people who wrong another, so if you attack someone without provocation, you just disappear, and no one ever sees or hears from you again. There are, petty thefts and those things that happen. And self-defense is allowed, so if you are attacked, you are absolutely allowed to defend yourself. And the city is highly diverse. There's people from all over the lands, there's different races, and there's, of course, neighborhoods that cater to one particular group or creed. And so with that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to share another map, if I can figure out where all my maps went. And I'm going to drop you at the inn, Evenstead. Let me know when the map comes up.
Yep.
All right.
I don't know if you guys can see it, but I created a note and shared it and threw all that text in so I can go back to a read.
Excellent.
So I think I shared it with all of you.
And so you guys are just in the common room, dining area at the inn. Let me, add these things on.
Uh-oh, roll initiative?
No,
Right away.
crap, I forgot to load something.
You can kick us off.
No, I have it. I just don't find it. It's like one of these link things, What the heck?
Okay.
Alright, that should play nicely.
At
And there are other people here, which is what I'm trying to load.
That's what I did too. I did the same thing.
Do you have touch?
I'm not used to it.
What'd you guys do?
The touch screen. So I'm like, I went to go move it.
Oh.
Like, everything went everywhere.
Yeah.
What the hell?
You have touch screen.
Can you guys see the note? I mean, I'm just curious. Not
Yeah.
want to read it. Okay, cool. I
Yeah.
thought so. But.
All right, so while you're preparing in the town here, you notice there's a bunch of other patrons in the restaurant of the inn. You've been staying at the inn for a few days, you've been enjoying the town, been having merriment, and the normal kinds of things. And just one thing about how I'm doing this, why did none of these people show up now? Do you see the other NPCs are there now,
Yep.
sorry. So that's good enough. And so if there's any things you want to take care of before we get in earnest, let me know. I will not show sort of, NPCs will never turn into combatants because there's just too damn many of them. So there's barkeeps and waitresses and servers and things like that in the inn here. And you guys have all taken rooms on the right-hand side. So you know that part of the inn. There's some private rooms to the left, which you just didn't feel like paying for because you guys have slept in the hard ground so much. So you really haven't explored that side of the inn. But this is just sort of a familiarization. What we established as we were getting the game going is that the group of you have been adventuring together for years, and after we left the crazy-ass Wizard's Tower, Isash, right, joined the party.
Yeah.
And so otherwise you guys have all been around for a while. So you're sitting at the inn, and a messenger comes in. And the messenger walks up to your table and says, I have an important message for each of you. And hands you a very, let's see, I'll just do it. Hands you a letter of the finest paper, sealed with a shimmering round disc with a sigil in the floating center at the foot of the, floating in the center of it. For anyone else, this wax seal would have been from a signet ring, but this is something well beyond that, and the author's clearly a image of power and renown, even though you do not know who it might be. Would you like to open the letter?
Yes.
Absolutely. Now, each of us has one?
They are all the same, so I'll just do it once.
I'd love to.
So, dear Dender and Dragons Adventures of Renown,
Yay!
I hope you are well rested in our dear city of Erksam these last few weeks. I can tell the call of the road is starting to whisper in your ears. In the quiet times of the night, I have an opportunity to sate your wanderlust and perhaps make some coin along the way. I request the pleasure of your company on the evening of the new moon at 7 p.m. for dinner, which is the next day. For dinner, where there will be much shared and new acquaintances will be made. Well, this is a formal invitation. The gathering is without pretense, so come attired or equipped as you desire. Please present this token fixed to the letter when you arrive at the house of Lord Mayor, and you will be admitted as my guest, and under my protection should you require it. And it's signed, sincerely, Carbath the Fire-Touched, Lord Mayor of Erksam, Quatri for the Order of the Converging Flame.
Must be a cousin of yours with that name.
So that is your invitation. The messenger departs, and you now find yourself in the common room of the inn, saying, "What the fuck?"
Fuck.
So your plans before let's say this is lunchtime. Well, let's say it's dinner time. You're about to go out for the night. And what you guys have been doing quite a bit is you've been going to the casino, because what the hell else are you going to do, right? But you have an evening to yourselves. If you need to do things like get other equipment, I know you're all fixing character sheets and the like, so we have a few minutes to do those kind of things. But that's where the adventure starts, is the invitation to visit the mayor.
Awesome.
I-
We have an opportunity. Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was going to say we have an opportunity to mingle with some of the commoners, right? The
Yes.
tables.
Yeah, and there's an interesting mix, right? So the groups here, so there's a few mercenary companies. So there's the Dagger Point Mercenaries.
Okay.
You've got a group called the Red Hand Faction. And they keep to themselves, they don't mingle with each other, but they're civil if you go and talk to them. Those are the two big groups that are here, and they look like they've gotten themselves in trouble before. Then there's, of course, the barkeep, his name is Quillish. For some reason, it isn't actually on the map, so I should fix that. And he's an interesting chap. He's been, sort of helping you understand the city as you've gone your sort of normal non-adventuring needs. And he's, quite the gossip. He kind of knows what's going on in town. He keeps hand of everybody who's around and what's happening.
So Holy's never met Barry doesn't like. I mean, he's after all a cleric, so makes his own here. So I don't know if anybody wants to go up with him. I think I'm gonna go up a bar stool with Quillish.
Okay.
Pay attention to what you're doing up there.
All right. What may I get you, fine sir? We have some of the finest ales. We have lambic beers. We've got all kinds of things from the greater lands around Herxham.
Surprise me and whatever my friends want here with whatever you recommend for ale. I'm always interested in the new batch.
A fine red for me, sir.
All right. Well, I will get you some of my finest.
Red ale.
Red ale. Red wine.
That's right.
So the barkeep goes back, he goes to his cask, he pours you a few mugs, big, heavy pewter mugs, and he hands them to you and says, this is from a monastery high up in the mountains. It comes by a river. It's very unique. We're probably the only place that has it. We're the exclusive importers. I can't help but wondering, why are you guys hanging around here? You don't seem to the sorts to sort of lounge in leisure, and you've been here for a while. And I saw the mayor's messenger just came. Do you know anything about the mayor?
We don't.
Seems like he's got a number of titles.
That's your first problem. She's a she. The mayor, the Lord Mayor it's not a nobility position. Really, in this town, the nobles are the merchants. There's democracy as such.
What was that?
Metagame note: if you see me use noble as a character, it just means they're a big ass merchant, and I just copied nobles because they existed in NPC land. And so the merchants run the town, and the Lord Mayor has almost no patience for them, and so the city runs very well as a result. She's the balancing force. The Lord Mayor, shall we say, is a fiery character. And I don't mean that in the personality sense, I mean that she's literally on fire. She's a fire genasi. And she's a very renowned mage, and nobody gives her shit. She also doesn't entertain a lot, so it's quite unusual when she has guests over, and it becomes quite the gossip. And so even though you have not told me your business, we all know that you got invited to the mayor's house for dinner, because that's the only time she sends out messengers. She usually just sends out killers if there's a problem. So what the hell do you guys get into?
We're gonna find out when we go to this meeting.
Excuse me for a minute, I have one other patron, I'll be right back. And he moves down the side of the bar to one of the, I forget which dude this is, to the Dagger Point Mercenaries, gives him a bunch of the cheap swill beer, and then he comes back.
I took a long swig of my ale, and as he's walking back over, saying, "Thank you. Your ale is some of the best I've ever tasted."
Do you like the finer spirits, by any chance? I have this excellent bottle of Lafroig that came all the way from Scotland. You should try
Oh,
it.
now
It's a wee island, I think.
Have you been to the casino?
we have a few times, as a matter of fact.
I'm not sure. The casino kind of bothers me. Like, people have a good time there. It's a fairly safe place to be. But the guards really unnerve me. And I serve many patrons here, but they have some sort of weird customers who go to that place. And I think they run a fair table. I don't think you're going to get ripped off. But I've just not always liked the owner. I'm sorry, I talk too much. Is
Who's
there
the owner?
can I get you something else?
Who's this owner?
No one actually knows who owns the casino. It's sort of run. There's let's see, some savory, unsavory types who work as his guards. They're not, shall we say, completely human. They kind of look very draconic to me. I suspect this is a front for one of the mages, and that's how he runs, sort of moves his money through the town. Because the mages, while they have absolute power in terms of their skill and command, they don't have the financial resources of many of the merchants. They also are sort of, have you heard of the Illustrian?
No, we've heard the name, but we're not familiar with what that is.
So no one knows exactly how many members there are, who they are. They don't wear a uniform, but they always seem to know when there's trouble. And so if there's a fight that breaks out, sometimes it happens in our fine establishment, but we're not one of those lowly places, so we don't have raucous bar brawls every day. But what happens is the aggressors just sort of disappear quietly, without ceremony, and we don't see them again pretty much ever. But my patrons, if they were to defend themselves, they would not have any problems. The Western teams seem to leave them alone. We think this is something the mayor put in place to sort of keep order, but it feels like we're under the watch of the secret police.
It seems as though it is quite helpful for the level of crime, quite the deterrent.
Yes, I mean, we have petty crime. You'll see guards and merchants guard their wares. I don't really have need of that very much. But, the casino has guards. That's, those kind of things exist. But what you don't see in this town is you don't see a town watch roaming around. And every other town I've traveled to, that's a big prominent feature. And of course, the town watch is notorious for shaking people down and collecting taxes and bribes and those kind of things. Here we have a fairly freewheeling economy, and the taxes are quite low, which is also why we've done quite well. But of course, the town is run by the merchants. And so if the merchants need something, like infrastructure, like new docks or a bridge, or maybe expanding the walls to protect their valuables, they'll tax the citizenry for that. But overall, the taxes in these lands are far lower than where I came from, just downriver, closer to the sea. And so the town's been very nice for all of us. But I still always sort of wonder who's watching.
You guys have anything else? Anything on your end? Or?
We're supposed to meet with the mayor.
Yeah,
Tomorrow.
he knows that.
Yeah.
Yep, he knows
What more can you tell us of this mayor? What topics of conversation may be a bit taboo?
I do not know her to be. I don't know the mayor well. I've only met her once. I've heard her speak in public a few times. What I hear from my patrons and the few that have had business with her, she's not very constrained. She has her own, things that she's trying to do. She's been doing a big research project with other mages, and so we've had many visitors in and out of the inn here, and some have mentioned brief things about it, but I don't really know what she's up to. I think most of her concerns actually lie outside of the city. And so her interaction in the city is fairly minimalist. And as I mentioned, her main job, she thinks, is to keep the merchants in check. But the current guildmaster, and who's the effective leader of the city council, has, I think, come to an understanding with the mages of the town that they just leave each other alone. The merchants do what they want. But really the intersection is there's a big trafficking of magical items in this town. And so one of the big imports and exports here are rare magical items. That's one of the things that make us unique. And we also get a lot of your sort, the adventurers, because they come to look for things.
Well, I must say, I've heard of the availability of magical items in the area, and it's part of the attraction of being here.
Well, you really, if you must know, you must go see a guy named Cubit down at the wharf.
Cubit, you say?
Cubit.
On
Okay.
it, yeah.
He's a dealer of magical items?
Let's just say he's a import-export expert.
I understand.
And what?
I-
And
And he does a brisk cash business.
Okay.
You can find him down at the wharf outside the main part of the city.
Ask him how much for our drinks. I feel like we've been rude and not paid you.
It'll be on your tab. We'll settle up when you check out.
Okay. Let's slide in a few gold pieces and just as a tip.
Thank you, kind sir. If you go to Cubit, you might need to use the word triangle.
That's triangle lets him know that we are in the know and in the. All right.
You get affinity pricing.
Ah, good.
If you tell them, oh, I'm a triangle member.
Shall we mention your name?
It'd be better if you didn't.
Okay.
I asked him, well, sir, you seem to, like a tremendous barkeep, understand the lay of this land. Do you know of any other groups that have received invitations to the Lord, and you know what became of them?
I do not, well, let me answer that in two parts. So this particular day, I do not know of any other groups who've been visited by the messenger. And the messenger is not, shall we say, secretive in most of his travels. So I don't believe anyone else is invited to the dinner. I assume you're going to dinner, because that's usually the mayor's style. She likes to
It
eat.
would be unwise not to.
Yes.
But the mayor has had other guests before, and many of them has been dispatched to other tasks for the mayor, and some of them have even returned. I will say when they've returned, they've been very generous to the help here and very aggressive at emptying the taps of my keg. And they seem very encouraged when they return.
We could probably accommodate you in that way, too. Thanks for your assistance.
And
good
we're going to have a special. We had an excellent new arrival of bacon and eggs for the morning breakfast. So if you come home to the inn this evening and you're very hungry in the morning, we should be able to take care of you well.
All right.
Excellent.
That's how Denver and Dragons rolls.
Yeah,
That's right.
Bacon and eggs.
and brats and burgers.
Yeah, and brats and burgers.
We have brats and burgers for lunch.
Do you see much of the garden? Do they come in here much and patron your establishment?
Let's say the guard in this town are well compensated, but they're not in the social strata that frequents my establishment. Maybe if they have a big anniversary dinner, they may take their wife here. But on a daily basis, no. There's some other parts of town closer to the river that have establishments they may more frequent.
Anyone else have anything?
I want to just, gentleman's nod. Thank you very much.
Oh, excellent. Well, I'm here.
Barkeep.
I welcome your patronage and hope to see you back soon. And I know you're not leaving, but if you need anything else about the city or where to find things, please let me know. I
Excellent.
know quite a bit about where to go.
Say thank you, and if, I don't know, both of our party members, Sir John and Boar were over there or not, but we certainly share, I certainly share with them what we learned.
What we've learned from the barkeep.
Before we leave, we should divvy up any of the stuff in the party sheet to make sure. Does anyone else have an eye on the cloak of protection? Because I would love
What
to.
is your armor?
I'm going to steal that remove curse scroll.
My armor class is 16.
Because
Sorry,
All the other things have already been pulled off, right?
it's actually 17.
17.
What was in here, you guys?
Anybody else
Took
need?
the plus
Anybody else
2
need-
great sword, and what have you guys taken so
I
far?
had
There was a lot
plus
of.
2 great sword, and I took. Oh, I guess I did take the javelins. There were 2 javelins in lightning.
Actually, you're
Oh, wow.
prone to being up front, and yours is 15. So you
I
should.
actually am 19.
What-
Because I received a magical set of armor.
Can anyone use wands?
is it in the combat tracker?
Do we
Should be
remember
in the party sheet?
Can we use
AC
one?
there?
It's 15 in the party sheet.
Bolts in there.
I think,
I thought
anyone's allowed to use it.
Yeah, anyone can use it. Only a sorcerer or warlock can use it as their spell casting focus.
So there's 19 on my main.
So I mean, as a cleric, I could use
You
it and
can use
cast
it.
it.
Really?
So it requires attunement by a spellcaster.
Because Poppy in the party sheet says AC 15.
That's strange.
I have my eye on the wand of lightning bolts, but I guess,
I'm good with that.
Let me see if I.
so tell me if anybody else is interested. So, I mean, I'd probably be interested in one or the other, Rob, but I mean, I'm fine with you taking the cloak personally.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
me
that's
too.
fine.
But yeah, you might want to check make sure it's coded right. Okay, cloak protects shield.
Okay.
Jump up.
Well, I say we head to the market and see if we can't wrangle up a little good deal on some magic items around here.
So are we good with you? Does anybody else want to roll for the wand, or are you good with?
I'm good with you.
No, I would say.
I wouldn't mind
Why
having a
not?
feather fall ring.
Oh, that's for rogue. Okay, I'm gonna take that, or the one.
All right, so
Yeah.
when you're sorting out loot, your intentions are to head towards the
To go see Quinn, yeah. Or
Yeah.
Quinn, what's his name?
Quibit.
Yeah. Cuban.
All right, I'm just gonna. Is there any way to delete people in mass with the combat tracker?
Can you remove me from the party sheet, put me back up? For some reason, my stats aren't accurate.
Party sheet?
Yeah.
That should update it. Yeah, it should update.
You mean like in the actions tab, or what are you talking
Well,
sorry.
Irash's AC is 19, but in the party sheet it shows 15.
about? And you don't have
Well,
any effects on you, right?
He's got
Because that's-
magic stuff.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
AC plus.
Oh.
Yeah.
No,
yeah,
but
yeah.
you said to me that you on your sheet it said 19. That's what
Well,
you
it does on my main tab, in the little shield, it shows 19.
said. And
And
it shows
there it
15.
shows 15 in the party sheet.
Right, which is wrong. So it should be updated somehow.
Well, it shows AC of 15 to me on your character sheet.
On my character sheet?
Yeah.
You see it as 19?
Yeah.
That's weird.
Huh.
Should I move it down and move it back up?
Yeah. Change something and then change it back and see if that
Oh.
does anything.
It just went down to 13.
Jeez.
Now it's at 15.
I got it back to 19.
I
Something's
wonder if
messed
your
up.
base AC was wrong when you added the stuff. I don't know.
But whatever-
I'll remove my armor and see what happens.
Whatever's on his sheet in his shield, it should be what we see in the combat tracker. Like my AC is 16, it's really 17, but that's because I have it affected the combat
Exactly, that's
tracker.
what I have, yeah.
But whatever's on his character sheet should be what we see.
So I removed my armor and I went to 15. Maybe the armor's coded wrong?
Yeah, it's
Oh,
probably.
No, but there it is.
Now
19.
you're at 19.
Oh, okay, I took it off and put it back on.
Okay, there you go.
Okay.
Good
Alright.
enough. Awesome.
Alright, what the hell are we
It's
doing?
still not showing.
We were
all
going
these
to
special-
Cuban.
Going to see Cubit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're a wizard in this
How do I
party, there's
remove
always
all these
balls.
dudes from the combat tracker?
Yeah, go into a wizard scroll or wizard tower. And, wizard.
Yeah, I guess I could take one level of wizard. No, I don't have the intelligence.
So you can always delete, if you go to the menu, you can delete all non-friendly, I think it is.
How did I get an amulet of health? What the fuck? Alright.
He gave us, sorry.
Oh, did he? Oh, I didn't even notice that. Okay. Crazy.
Yeah, I think the wand gets, like with the wand, it should be at your proficiency. But you're looking at the like the spell sorry.
Yeah, everybody check your. I didn't know. I didn't even know until this second I had an amulet of health.
I did whisper it to you.
Oh, you did?
I was supposed to say one second.
Wow.
It was 400 lines of text ago.
Aren't the-
Did you just give us one thing?
I gave one additional item to everybody.
Okay, so yeah, I guess I just didn't know that till this second.
What was that about?
Yeah.
Sorry, I missed that.
Everybody got an item in their inventory that they didn't previously have, and I just discovered mine. He had whispered it to me, but I missed it.
I
Yeah.
didn't see anything.
So you
Oh.
got a backpack of craziness. I forget what it's called.
Me?
Yeah. You can store a lot of crap in it. You got a mace.
I got a mace.
Yeah.
Is it in my
Mace.
inventory?
Mace of disruption, I think it was.
Oh, Hewlett's handy hackers.
Yeah.
Nice.
Good shoes,
Um,
thank you, man.
So yeah, just check your inventory if there's some item you didn't see there before I added one. 'Cause this is all about magic items.
Nice.
Especially because it's not a sustained campaign, so.
Blow it up.
So,
You're gonna need the help anyway.
alright, this base of disruption is gonna be interesting.
Oh, is that what you got? Oh, man, that's nice.
It'll have to be coded specially.
Is that what you got from your item?
Yeah.
Very cool.
Alright, combat tracker is good. Alright, so to use the expression we came up with yesterday, what are the intentions of the party?
Yeah, that's my kind of go-to. Yeah, we're going to go see Cubit.
Cubit, okay.
What are the wishes of the party?
So I am going to close the in map for a minute, just because I got too many damn maps open already.
All right. Who wins on the combat tracker for most effect? Is it me?
Probably. Yeah.
You're getting there.
Sir John has none. Not yet.
So Cubit, if you go to the Irksome city map, Cubit is outside of the main part of town on this island in the middle of the river that you can get to over a more traditional bridge in one of the wharfs and warehouses there. And I'm not going to do like motion through the city and all that kind of crap, just because this is the role play part.
Okay.
So you go to. Are you guys ready to go to the warehouse?
Yeah.
All right. So you go to the warehouse. So you go through the Gone. There's a lot of people in the Gone. Apparently, the normal commerce of the town is continuing. You walk out of the gate over the bridge. You go into really the merchant area. Now this island is a little lower level. And sometimes floods, so you notice a lot of the buildings are just built up a few feet. And then you get to the merchant warehouse district. And the interesting thing here is you have sailing ships that actually come up the river. And one other piece I probably should have mentioned about the town is if you're looking at the city map, you see this sort of blue thing with little arrows pointing on it that parallels the river to the north. That's actually a canal that they use to ship barges upriver. And so there's a tow path, and so they have big canal boats that go towed by horse teams and other pack animals upriver, which they found is more efficient in trading than trying to navigate up the swift current of the river. And so you get into the merchant district. You go to the location that Quellish mentioned to you for Cubit's establishment, and the sun is getting super bright now. All right, hopefully it'll be fine for a minute. And Cubit's shop, it's sort of a small shop in front of a very, very large warehouse. And so you go to the door there. The door is locked. There's a little window. You kind of peer in, and you see someone sitting at a desk, and it's a small office. I don't have a map for it. But you see this guy there, and he's not human. You can't quite place his race. He looks like sort of a mix of a little bit of kobold, a little bit of orc, a little bit of human. He's kind of he's kind of got really big, gnarly teeth, which kobolds don't have, but has that sort of shiny, scaly-like complexion. And he's probably about 5 foot tall and has a big beer belly.
Did we get any more info on what Cubit should look like? You guys remember?
I didn't give it to you, but
Okay,
this is
that's
Cubit.
Okay, that's all right. Yeah, sure. Like, do we
Yeah, we didn't really ask you, did we? We're looking for a Cubit.
Ah!
I'll walk in. We're looking for
I am Cubit. What can I do for you?
Cubit.
Yeah, we all go like this.
And I go, gentlemen,
Oh.
Keep it there. Keep it discreet.
a bit more stuff.
So why don't you step inside and we can have a more private chat. So you all go into his little office, and he pulls down the little shade over the window and puts a little sign. He flips a little thing in the door, and the sign says, "With important clients."
Nice.
And closes it, and the door is closed. And he puts the bar on the door, And what can I do for you, gentlemen?
We have come to trade.
Buying, selling, or both?
I think,
We got a number of scrolls.
yes, we have some scrolls you might be interested
Oh,
in.
not much readers, are you? Okay.
Wow, it's a certain type, actually. We tend to arm ourselves a bit more than those who wield these sorts of
Well, these are always troubling times. That's very important things to do.
But we are definitely also here to
Prove
buy
your
in
wares.
addition to trade.
All right. If I can figure out where the heck this thing is, we can do just that. Well, let's talk about your scrolls. Because you're members of the Triangle Club, I will give you my absolute best price.
Excellent.
But what are you looking to sell? Scrolls in this town, there's lots of scrolls. It's like an old Chevy. Everybody has one to
A
sell.
dime a dozen.
Nobody wants to buy it. I'm a poor, child of the streets. giving you the classic subsoil, right?
Are there any school, okay.
Yeah, out of game, was anybody going to take the Arrow of Cleric Sling, the Ring of One Wish, or the Stasis Ring?
If no one wants it, I'll take the arrow.
Just don't
I
shoot
think
it
someone
at
should
me.
have
We're
it.
not selling the
stay
arrow.
clear of
We're
that.
not selling
Yeah,
the
okay,
arrow.
so
I'm not
so
gonna-
take that, and then the Stasis Ring somebody should carry around
Yeah,
in case we need
I'll
it.
carry it in my inventory.
Okay.
If anybody else needs it, we'll just hand
And then the Ring of One Wish, I think we should hang on
Yeah,
to.
we need that.
So stasis ring is something like if somebody goes
If somebody dies,
dies, we can put them on
Yeah,
it and
exactly.
be able to resurrect them later.
That's what, yeah.
The
that was-
stasis ring is, yeah, simply
That's from his game
stasis.
yesterday.
Yep.
and the Ring of One Wish, I guess it doesn't matter who carries it, but we should
I say
keep that.
order.
I should take it. I'm not gonna wear it, but I'll keep it on me. Because it
Most
doesn't do anything else
experienced
except grant one wish, right? Yeah. All right. So let me move that, and then that way, I think the answer to Cubit's question, "What are we selling besides the scrolls?" is
We can show them our list.
Nothing.
nothing.
We got scrolls.
You're just selling the scrolls. So somebody take the Ring of One Wish. so
Okay.
it's
Yep.
off
I'm gonna do that right
the
now. Well, don't let me forget I have it. Shit. And yeah, just the scrolls, my good friend, is all we have to part with today. But we are looking to give you gold in exchange for what some goods you might have.
All right. So let me. If I click the sell items. Boom. All right. You've got gold aplenty.
Yeah, that's good.
So what were you looking to buy? These are all fine scrolls. I'll give you an excellent price, which he does. You don't feel that he ripped you off because you're Triangle members. It's like freaking Sam's Club card, you know, or Costco.
What do you have in the way of magical items here?
I have a, I'm proud to say, a fairly robust collection of items. I'd say the most common things that I have are more in the martial category, weapons and armor. I will say that more magical, items like scrolls are in high demand in the city. I don't have enough supply, but you seem to be sellers of scrolls, so that may not be your interest. I do have a couple of rings. I have a very good shipment of potions I just received.
Yes.
And so I haven't even fully inventoried them all, but I probably have certainly the kinds of things for bumps and bruises along the road traveled. Those kind of things I have. I have a few more things that are useful to people who are interested in the clandestine arts. And a good number of things in my warehouse that, if there's a special need or something you're looking for, I could probably source for you in the city. Those items have a buyer's premium, shall we say, associated with them. It's not unreasonable. It's 10% over the original merchant, but then you don't have to go deal with all the riffraff in the town, and I can just source what you need. So I don't have a catalog because things come and go so often. But if there's something you're interested in, you can probably find it or have it made.
You guys want to just go around and
Yeah,
just think
start
about
out,
it? Well, yeah, go ahead, just go around.
What type of rapiers do you have that might be of magical quality?
Oh, I think I have a very fine one, except I don't have any. I think what I'll do is I'll find a sword and just make it a ranger type sword.
Or I have two rapiers, I can just make one magical.
Yeah.
What kind of rapier was it? Was it a plus something?
Plus two, I was looking for.
Let me just. Okay.
Is there a book of magic items?
It's not your.
I know.
There is a PDF that has all the magic items.
It's SRD. Right?
No, it's.
I think
I've got a link to it in here. Hold on.
I was gonna say, yeah.
I've seen it.
Yeah, it's just a one sheet that has all the stuff on it from the
Different rarities.
DM. Yeah. What is that? Bookmarks, D&D.
I have a very interesting rapier. It's called the Wounder.
It's called what?
The Wounder.
Sorry, thanks.
Metagame, it's the rapier version of the Great Sword of Wounding.
Thank you, sir. Oh, look at
Stock it
that.
up.
Somebody brought me a Diet Coke. That is fan-fucking-tastic. I'm gonna post this link in Denver and Dragons for you guys. It's
Yeah,
just the
what about-
PDF of the magic
We
item.
kind of overdo it in turn, but what about, do you have any shields that might be, for a player like myself, a little special?
Let me think on that a minute. Definitely, shields are, we get them from time to time.
So, repeat of wounding. I will add that to my, what's the price on that?
Let's see, I like your method, Joe, so I'm gonna do the roll.
Yeah, that's funny.
So roll me,
I'm gonna change my color. Everybody's like blue or purple. Dice.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm gonna go like
roll me a D500.
Damn, you're low.
What'd you say?
He rolled low yesterday too.
Well, what you were doing was
Base
100 plus D.
Well,
Yeah.
it was 101 to.
Yeah, exactly.
So it'd be
Yeah.
656 gold pieces, fine, sir.
Okay, I can
Better
manage
than
that. I will move that and hand that over to you. 656.
Did you, Mark? Do you want to divvy out what's in the party sheet for money?
Oh yeah, sure. How do we do that?
A little down.
A little down arrow there under the money.
Oh my god, we already had a bunch of money. We got even more.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there's more.
All those.
We just sold the scrolls for like 7
Oh, yeah,
grand.
yeah, yeah, sorry.
Hello. Who's got some money?
Yeah, you got like 7,400 gold for your scroll, by the way.
I will ask Cubit. Are you a person of a banking quality where we can change our money to? In other words, can we convert all our shit on our sheet to gold to make it easier?
Well, I'm a little light on gold, but I have plenty of platinum.
So we
Rather.
can change it to platinum. if we
Yeah.
wanted to. Okay, that's good enough. Clean up some of this crap.
Yeah, so if you just want to, if you want to convert it all, you can just do it.
Okay.
But yeah, you can convert it, more platinum than gold. But yeah, you can coin change whatever you need.
Just so we can talk in terms of gold.
Yeah.
Do we need to convert anything?
Well, I'm converting all mine into gold just so when
Oh, gotcha.
I can buy something, I know how much I have.
All right, so Poppy, I'm going to drop the item. It's not exactly right, but you can just sort of pick it and code it to your
All
rapier.
right. I'm gonna adjust my gold that I have down currently. I'll do a match.
If I'm holding a rod and a shield, can I still cast somatic spells? I'm thinking no. With that rod?
I mean, it doesn't have to be finger things. How does that? I don't know how it works actually.
Yeah.
Ask the question again.
If I'm holding
Did
a
you
rod
get it?
and a shield,
I did, yes.
can I still cast somatic
All right,
spells?
shields.
Well, isn't Semitic where you just have to wave your arms? And
Possibly. It could be if you're like doing like this or like that.
I
But
would think that if you held, can I still wiggle my fingers if I'm
Okay.
holding my? Yeah.
if the GM's fine with that, then I might want a rod.
All right, I'll let a rod still do semantic because you can conduct the orchestra.
Stop saying
there.
around.
Yeah. So what rarity of magic items are we level defined or
Up to very rare.
up to
Oh,
including?
wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
they might be pricey. They might be priced out.
It's
Yeah.
possible, but this rod of absorption looks awesome.
So plus.
So for shields, that was my
Yes.
earlier question. I have 2 shields of note. I have a, well, I'll just do the +2 shield. That was one that has. And then there's also this other shield. And what I've been told, and I haven't used it in the field myself, so I don't know for certain, is it really helps you against spells. Now it's quite an expensive item, but it's a spell guard shield.
Okay.
And unfortunately, this one is a fairly hefty price tag. Roll me a D1000 in the chat. Look at you guys with these low rolls. This one is, we'll call it 6,000 gold because the 63 isn't worth me counting.
so 6,000.
So for the spell guard shield, and the +2 shield was 1,500.
What about a rod of absorption?
Rods. I threw a rod.
Also, everyone has to keep in mind that they can only have 3 attunable items.
Yeah, you're right.
And is dwarven plate one of them?
I think
It'll tell you.
it'll tell you, but armor and weapons usually aren't attunable unless they're really special.
And the thing you got from our awesome DM is likely attunable.
It is.
Yeah, Mesa Disruption probably is.
Both my rings are.
So
No,
I don't have one in my shop, but I have a fellow broker who might have one. And he goes to a little book and he kind of thumbs through it and he says, roll me a D1000. And that would be about 9,000 gold, plus or minus a few.
So,
You got that in the notes?
Orr takes his great ox off his back and presents it like this to Cubit and says, I am a barbarian of extraordinary magnitude, and this is a fine battle axe, great axe that gives me a +2, but it doesn't have any other magical powers. Would you have something that would be better than this here at your establishment?
No, but I know an excellent enchanter. Who
Really?
could probably add a feature or two in a reasonable amount of time for a not so exorbitant price.
I would love to have that person's information.
Sure, I can connect you, and you, of course, will have to mention that I sent you,
Yes, I would be more than happy to.
which is code for I get a cut.
Yeah. I'm happy to oblige.
What type of enchantment would be of your most interest? Because there's a few providers that I work with here in the Fair City.
Let me ponder that for just a few moments.
Okay. Could do that.
Well, do you deal with these other people? Yeah, what type of enchantment?
What was the verdict on the rod? Too rich for your blood?
Thinking about it, what about the wand of War Mage +2?
Where is that from? I don't have one.
I don't know, it's just DMG 212 maybe? Is that what that is?
When I search, I don't see it. Oh, here it is. No, it's Wand of the War Mage.
Wand of the War Mage, sorry.
I lost my D10 somewhere. Where the hell did it go?
One platinum is 10 gold.
Yeah.
So roll me a D500. Again, this is something I'm sure one of my compatriots has. Let me just do a quick inquiry. He goes back to his desk and he does the magical equivalent of type something. He writes something in a chat scroll. And, yes, we do have this available. It would be 2,700 gold pieces.
Okay.
One more time, Mark. The main goal of the mission of the whole campaign.
Well, you don't know yet.
Oh,
but-
we don't. Okay.
So you're going to get assigned a task by the Lord Mayor to
As a
do
tomorrow.
her a favor, which involves going to a wizard's magic tower and recovering an object.
Okay, so I might want to enchant my weapon based on what I know about our mission.
That's fine.
So I don't know what I was.
You don't know about your mission yet, but you are in the land of spellcasters. So something that
Well-
helps you with spellcasters might be useful.
Yes. Okay. There you go.
I could cast, what is it, clairvoyance? Whatever spell lets us ask the DM what we're gonna be doing.
Oh, well, just tell you. You're gonna find out soon enough anyway. But so while you were at the inn and you were gossiping, you heard people kind of, when they looked at you and they saw the Lord Mayor, you know, some people said, I wonder if they're finally going to take care of the Shimmering Tower. How's that?
Okay.
And then you ask somebody else, and the Shimmering Tower is like, oh, we don't really talk about that, but it's this really bizarre thing outside of town, good ways out, near Buzzard Lake. And it's just, it looks like a tower at the bottom, but then there's all this stuff above it, and the clouds kind of wrap around it, and the sky shimmers. That's why it's called the Shimmering Tower.
Okay, I will absolutely buy the Spellguard Shield now that I looked at it.
Spellguard Shield. Okay.
Yeah, so the spellguard shield +2 by any chance, or?
No, it's just straight, that's okay, advantage on saving throws against spells.
All right, Wand of War Mage, yes, no? Still deciding?
Yes.
So,
That is 2,000.
so 9,000 gold, I have
8,000.
for
No,
Rod of Absorption
Yeah.
is 9,000. I have 4,000 gold, 297 Electrum, is that another 3,000 gold?
No, 297 election is 296 electrum is 148 gold.
Yeah, it's a half a gold piece.
Platinum is the one
Okay.
that,
That's the times 10.
so I have another 4,500 gold. So I have 8,500 gold. Rod of Absorption would be pretty nice.
How much is it?
9,000.
While he's doing that, I would like to purchase a +2.
You know,
Light crossbow.
I converted all my money and ended up with
I already had a
9,000.
crossbow, I can-
So you should have the same amount, right?
Should
I
I?
had 8,842.
How do you convert?
Anyway,
Is there a magic?
No, I just
You just
did it.
gotta-
I used my
You
calculator.
gotta math it.
A plus what?
+2.
DMG guy doesn't have all magic items, I don't see it all when I open it.
No,
All right, what's that?
you won't have access to all of it. You might not.
Okay. Oh, you're right, that's what it is. Okay.
All right.
I'll wait till he pulls it on there.
There we go.
So, random Fantasy Grounds question. Somehow I lost my D10.
If you right click any blank space,
There's a little,
and the arrange dice button is to the left.
this just kind of shows all the dice, so I don't want to look on the
There's a
screen.
bunch of lines.
All right, got it, thank you. I must have like disappeared under the chat or something. All right.
I like just plain plate armor because I'm bored.
Crossbows apparently are in very tight supply. We do have them. I'm afraid the price is not going to be much to your liking because I freaking roll huge.
So
So it's going to be about 5,000 gold.
For a
I
crossbow.
think I might know what.
Oh, that's
Plus 2,
I think I might know what I want to enchant.
which is the
for that.
absolute maximum price.
All right, how about a +1?
Maybe those are more in supply. I don't know. Let me see how it goes. See how I roll this time.
On Rob's magic table, maybe?
What? There's a
Those are
magic table?
4,000.
4,000? Okay, I will purchase that.
What? How far away is the enchanter person that I need to speak with?
It's just down the road.
we got a
Quick
day
trip. You could be
before
there
we're
in
getting-
10 minutes. Walking.
Okay. I wonder how long he's gonna say he's doing. I know what I want to do.
Well, the name of his shop is Zobar's Express Enchantments.
Express enchantments. Oh, that's definitely.
They have on staff thousands of enchanters.
Can we like normal stuff like
A single.
Yeah.
There we go.
Any player's handbook, regular items you need, just buy.
And even potions of healing?
Oh, excellent.
Those are
Potions of healing, yeah, potions of
Okay.
healing. Dime a dozen in this town.
perfect. Okay, I'll
No,
go get some.
and the 4 potions of healing, the 4 that we usually use in the game, the greater superior
Oh, wow.
those,
I have to look
at whatever the book value is.
Can I sell like my chainmail and get gold and such for that?
It buys and sells everything.
Cool. So that's another 75 gold.
So yeah, I'm gonna need to go down and talk to this
Half price
enchanter.
and
All right, do you want to just side trip on your own?
Yeah,
All right, so you walk down to Zabar's Express Enchantments.
and I bling bling. I walk in and bling bling, and I introduce myself and I say that I'm sent by Cubit.
Oh, what can we do to help you find, sir?
Yes, I have this wonderful great axe
Oh, very lovely piece.
And I heard that you are quite the fantastic enchanters. And I wondered
You
if
can do
you
almost
had
anything.
the power to enchant this with spell stealing, which I can tell you what that is. That's if I hit with if I crit, I can forego the crit damage and learn everything that the spellcaster has cast on them at that time and steal one for myself.
Use that spell for yourself.
Yeah, like if he's
I
got
love that.
magic,
Steal mage
if he's got 8 mage armor on, then I can take it.
Even if you have armor on.
I don't have armor, but yeah.
Oh, you're a barbarian. That's right.
I love
But-
that.
That's beautiful.
That's a really good
I
idea.
will.
Let me confer with a colleague quickly,
Okay.
and then I'll get you a price and a time quote.
Okay, thank you.
And so he goes back in the back room, and then I have no idea what this is, so I don't know how to price it.
Let me see if I can
You might have to
look
forge
that
it.
up for you for one quick sec.
Yeah.
You might have to look at your templates and in your items.
I'm gonna see if they have it on.
Spell stealing.
I'm gonna see if they have.
I just don't know how to price it.
Yeah, I'm gonna look for that.
I'm gonna go with fairly expensive.
Probably, but I got cash.
I bet you do. You got a bunch of cash. I went and got my stuff. I'm good.
What did you decide?
I think I have enough money to get that rod of
Do
absorption.
you know
Oh, nice.
how much electrum?
Do you know what it does?
Two.
If I'm targeting
one
with a
electrum.
spell, I can take reaction to absorb the spell's energy and then create spell
Well,
slots out of it.
2 electrum is worth 1 gold.
So it's worth less.
Right? 2 electrum, 1 gold.
All right, so you think
Two
you're there on
electrum, 1 gold.
price?
Hmm?
You think you're there on
That's silver,
price?
1 gold.
Yeah, I'm calculating how much I have.
How about platinum?
Platinum is 10 gold.
1 platinum is 10 gold.
10 to 1.
Do you guys know, is there such thing as a potion of greater heal? I'm looking at it
Oh, yeah.
in the DM. I mean, I know there's a spell, but I'm trying to find the pricing.
Oh well,
They'll be on the-
it's in the DMG.
Oh, but
because
it's not real.
The only thing in the PHB is just the regular potion.
No, but I'm looking at D&D Beyond, and I'm trying to.
Oh,
So
I
actually,
don't- but it won't have the price, will it? Because
it
it's not
should.
real.
It should have the price. Because
Well,
it should have everything that's in the Dungeon Master's
All right, I'll
Guide.
pull
Like
Okay.
6,000 something.
Let me keep looking.
Look under equipment
Yeah.
in the DMG.
Good.
Yeah, I have like 7,000.
All right.
I'll just,
As a matter of fact, that's what I should do.
SRD potion.
All right, so just delete the other one. And,
Yep. I just add it, I can add a plus on it, +2, and adjust it.
Okay, then just adjust it. My goal is to get all your gold. So.
Hey, get, use equipment.
I hope we won't need it later.
That doesn't help.
All right, I'm assuming you're going to figure out your finances, so I'm going to drop it on your sheet because I don't want to keep going back to it.
Interesting. It doesn't have.
So,
All right,
Yeah.
anybody else other than
What's the cost of a potion of greater healing? We can't find it.
All right, one sec.
Oh, here we go, guys. So it doesn't have the pricing, it just shows each one in the, yeah. I don't see the
Potion of
prices.
Greater Healing is, let's see, 500.
Thank you.
So it's 5,500. Okay.
Yeah, it's likely going to go exponentially from there. Right?
I think
Yeah,
it says
superior, let me roll my d10. Superior is a bargain here. They have an excess inventory. It's only 2,500.
Superior?
Superior.
2,500. Gotcha. I'm just gonna PHB it and take some potions of healing.
Yeah, go ahead.
all right, I bought that for 9,000, curse my roll, but it's worth it. I have a rod of absorption. And it is gonna mean additional work for you,
What?
for the GM.
Oh, gee, that's always what I like.
What's it do?
As a reaction, any spell that targets me, I can absorb the effects of that and store that energy in the wand equals the spell's level. And then I can use that energy to create spell slots, or to cast spells. So if I get hit with a 5th level spell, it has 5 charges, I can cast a 3rd level spell and a 2nd level spell. So I'm gonna roll a d10 for the number of charges it has.
Okay.
I'm actually gonna roll it in the chat.
You know, they don't. I don't think that spell stealing thing was in SRD D20 website, but I don't see it in 5e, so it might not even be a thing.
Well, we can make it a thing.
So I wouldn't have a price for it because I don't. It doesn't give me that information.
All right.
But I can tell you the classification of it. I can tell you
Yeah.
how rare it is.
I wonder if it's in the Forge.
Have you ever used that?
The Forge? No.
You care if I
No, come over. It's not been open. That's.
just looking at items themselves. Or if you down here just try what was the spell stealing? Just type spell stealing. I'm sure.
So
Life stealing.
yeah, life stealing's a thing, but this was spell stealing.
No, there's no spell stealing.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of like the Rod of Absorption, right?
Let me read Rod of Absorption.
No, because it hijacks it.
Yeah, I'll read the whole thing to you. This is a special ability that can only be placed on melee weapons. A spell-stealing weapon allows the wielder to siphon protective magic from a target and transfer it to herself. When the wielder rolls a critical threat against the target, she can forgo committing the critical hit and instead automatically learn which spells or magical effects are active upon the target. The wielder may then make a caster check to steal her choice of one of the effects using the spell-stealing weapon's caster level plus the enchantment bonus against the DC 11 plus the caster level of the effect. If the check succeeds, the target immediately loses the benefits of that effect and the wielder gains it for 1 minute, or until the effect expires, whichever comes first. If the spell-stealing weapon has a critical multiplier greater than +2, you know, now that I'm reading this, this is like a Pathfinder thing. Something.
I did take off the money for the, so I don't know when you'll have to drop it on me somehow, but, because I can't.
But that sounds really complicated. Let me
I
stick
know,
with,
that's why I tried to just go with,
let me stick with 5e. What was that? Life stealing is the thing? Let me find out what that is.
I have a feeling you're gonna really be challenging us if you're letting this go this smart.
Too early to start the whiskey?
No, God, it's freaking Saturday, we're on vacation.
It's Saturday.
It's Saturday, man.
Coffee, whiskey.
I'm gonna actually start running these, but.
All right,
remember,
so life stealing. Let's
if
just.
there's
That's
this,
something.
and I actually literally thought these were the, I thought it was, I did not see it was tucked back there. I cannot freaking believe it.
I'm gonna load some of the stuff up.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I had it all loaded up and I had to throw all of them back in here again.
You still need to do anything with magic?
I'm just gonna put all these, no, I think I'm good at that. I got 4 potions of great ability. I figured I'd.
How about, yeah, so the sword of life stealing, when you attack a creature with a magic weapon, roll a 20 in attack roll, that target takes an extra 3d6 necrotic, provided it's not a construct or undead,
And you gain a 10 hit points.
and you get a 10 pet
I want to
points.
do that.
Alright, we can figure this out. So let's see, it's an enchantment.
It is rare, and it does require attunement, so I think I would have to give up one of my other items. Which I'm sure somebody would be happy to take off my hands.
How's that? What off your hands?
I'll let you know. It's probably going to be the cloak, actually.
We could do this in 48 hours for 2,500 gold, or in 24 hours for 3,000 gold.
I'll pay you 3,000. Done. Excellent.
Okay, fine, sir. Now he gives you a few pieces of paper, he writes a description of your current battle axe, he has you agree that that's the item you handed over, there's a little contract on what you're adding, and you'll have it in 24 hours.
Okay, excellent.
Which means tomorrow afternoon, so after your meeting with the mayor, next
Okay.
morning.
Fantastic. And
No, actually, the afternoon before your meeting with the mayor.
okay, great.
Yeah.
And at that time, I will give up one of my other attunable items to someone, probably the cloak of protection.
All right, now how do you know how to add what you need to add to it?
No, but can you?
I'll give you like the great sword of life stealing, and then you can.
Okay, if there's a great axe of like a great.
isn't.
Okay, then I'll
It's-
change it.
So
I'll change it.
There was a rapier of it.
this
Yeah,
is
just give it to me and I'll change it.
Click forge.
Oh, click forward. Sorry.
This is that.
Oh yeah, make it in the forward. Yeah, I never used it.
Drag this over a little bit. Just the menu item, the whole menu itself, just right now.
Oh,
So you're gonna just grab a great sword or a great axe?
Great axe +2.
So grab great axe +2.
traffic.
One of them has to be the weapon, one of them has to be the template.
Great axe +2.
Drag that into the equipment section. And then do lifesteal.
Goggles of dark vision, probably in the Dungeon Master's Guide.
Yeah, they are. Goggles of night, I think they're called.
And then,
Maybe I need to be on templates.
maybe try that.
Yeah, the life stealing thing should be a template, and then the great axe +2.
No, they do the same thing where it's sort of life stealing versus just a little and see if it works. Then click forge magic and see if it works. Perfect. There it is.
Nice.
Great axe of life stealing
Drop that.
+2.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
All right.
Give it to me. Give it to me. Give it to me. Forged and ready to use. That is the best thing, that forge. I always forget about that.
What,
Yes.
the forge?
There it is.
All
I
right.
never used it.
Yes.
I've never used it. How do I mean, I know what it is, but I don't really know how to use it.
So you, I don't think a player can get it, but
But he literally like took
yeah,
two things
he
together.
took a great axe +2, and then the template for the sword of life stealing.
Awesome.
Mashed them together.
That is
Digital Dave has a YouTube video on using it.
Yeah,
That's kind of awesome.
when the
Don't do
DMG
that.
came out in December of 15, when I got it, and they had-
All right. Anybody else shopping? Or are we done with Cuban here?
I'm done. You got
the first thing I'm gonna buy some potions.
All right. Buy some potions. You could just do those.
Hey Rob,
Check,
I actually had
goggles
two
of night.
I bought 4 potions of greater
Check two
healing.
potions in my hands.
Okay, do you, how much were they?
They were 500 each. But I wanted to use the rest. I just got the shield.
Yeah, I still have a shit ton of money. So, who wants a cloak of protection? I'll put it back in the party sheet. Because I have 4 attuned items, which I'm not allowed to have.
Goggles of night.
I don't have any attuned items. How did you get all those attuned items?
Well, I bet you do. You just
Actually,
didn't,
the wand is the one.
Yeah,
the
you-
shield. Once he gives that to me, that'll be.
you
Set.
guys need to check your magic items to make sure they're
Yeah,
not
once I get the
attunable.
shield, that'll be. Mace +2 isn't attuned, though, I don't think.
Hey Rob.
Yeah.
That ring of night
Uh-huh.
won't work outside the town.
It won't work outside the tower?
Right.
Oh, give me that cloak of protection back. So I don't have that ring. That's fucked up.
Yeah, it's within the tower.
Well, no, there's some effects on it that work
275
outside of the
goggles.
tower. If I remember.
Within 10 miles.
275
Oh,
gold.
within 10 miles?
You can double check it.
I think the whole, let's double check it. Okay.
Those are key.
Ring of night.
It's a pretty OP
In
item.
the prime material
where'd you
plane,
get
you
those?
get
Goggles of
bonus
night.
to AC and bonus to
That's
saving
smart.
throws.
Okay, there you go.
275.
But everything else you don't get.
So
They're
I'll toss that and keep the cloak because it's the same thing.
You're an irksome
Well, the
man.
cloak's better because the cloak.
And those are
No,
goggles-
this is
those
better
are
because
just
this
goggles
gives you
of night.
advantage to
Goggles
saving
of night
throws.
gives you 60 feet.
No, the
Oh,
cloak
plus
is,
one to.
yeah, it's the same
Okay,
as the
so
cloak.
that
He has 1 month.
I will absolutely.
Cloak, cloak gives you +1 AC and saving throws.
Good.
same
Oh,
thing.
cool.
So then none of this other shit works.
Where did you?
Yeah.
Can you
So
I
find
I-
got
out?
I'll-
those, they're in
I'll
the
take the
Dungeon
ring
Master's
if you don't-
Guide. I think he's
or
been
you sell
putting
it.
it.
Okay.
You got it.
No, you want the ring?
So
I think
I'll
I
pull
can
up,
take the ring.
Well, to make it easy,
275
I'll just put the cloak of protection in and keep the ring because it's the same.
Okay.
you haven't given me the shield yet, have you?
No,
Okay,
I forgot about it.
no.
Which should
Yeah,
work.
if you ever end up back in Kevlar's Tower,
Then I'll have it, yeah.
then I have massive
That
stuff.
was spell guard shield. Spell guard shield.
Yeah, it was, I mean, obviously it's pretty.
Does anybody else want the cloak of protection though? Before I take it,
Because you need a
I think I
25
took the
AC?
wand,
because I need
so-
25. I'm making myself a melee cleric. I'm just going to be in the middle of enemies and casting.
I don't care, I don't need to be cold.
I'll take it then. Thanks.
All right. So I think we're concluded at qubits.
Are you already running the dishwasher? Oh, sorry.
I still have 6,000 gold. I'm gonna buy a bunch of potions, but
6,000? How do you still have that much left?
because my enchantment was 3,000 and I had 9,000.
Wow, that's awesome.
But how much were those potions of greater healing?
I'm gonna let you run it.
2,500 each, or no, 500 each?
The greater is 500, superior is 2,500.
No,
which is
no,
50% off sale.
I don't trust
Okay, so I'm gonna buy 2 superiors and
It just be a little
2 graders, and that'll be 6,000.
Okay, perfect. And you can just pull them from PHP, right?
Grader I had to code. I just typed
Yeah,
it
no,
in,
I'd
I
have to code them.
I just coded it. It was,
Can you, actually, Mark, can you give me one of each of those out of the DMP,
Yeah.
the Supreme Grader?
Yeah.
And then I'll code them.
I just did it myself. I hope.
Oh, and the codings, by the way, are in the spell book down.
Oh man.
All right, I'll give you one and you can add the quantity, right?
Yeah, perfect, thank you.
I didn't think about that one.
Yep, those are, I just recently made that in there.
I'll check it to make sure I get it right. No, I can't. It's 2d4 or 4d4 plus 4. So. Oh, there's my spell correction. So Rob, where do you put the ATT? Right in your inventory tab to show attuned?
Yeah, I put ATT dash, and then that way it puts all the items up at the top.
Oh, ATT dash.
Look at the top.
All right, you have the grader now too.
Okay, thank you. Get rid of the cloak protection.
Do you have any dishes you'd like to get in the dishwasher? Okay,
No, I don't see
I
it.
think I got these on salt.
I do have a few here.
Maybe this one. Let's see.
Why is shield?
Yeah, I'm gonna take all these and put them
Sort of.
So what time is Battle Royale?
It's at 1, and in order to make sure that we are all set up, we should probably stop doing what we're doing at 12:30.
All right, so we'll do one scene. So we'll do the dinner with cool,
Yeah,
and then we'll dive into it for the
after.
actual quest after.
All right, cool.
Thanks for doing all this work. It seems like you put a lot of both of you in.
Yeah, this is interesting.
Cool.
The other scenario is to try and steal shit out of the warehouse.
So I got 2, so I have the spellbearer shield and the one with lightning bolt there.
All right, so we're gonna do the magical wave the hands, move the clock of time forward. You guys run back to Zobar's express enchantments. You pick up the battle axe.
Nice.
You go have a quick cocktail, and you prepare yourselves for the dinner at the Lord Mayor's. Get a little water.
Yeah, you did.
I'm not gonna bother to show you where the Lord Mayor's house is on the map. I mean, it's on the right-hand side of the city. It's one of the big back roads goes to it.
Oh, I don't really.
But since we're not doing transit time through the city, it doesn't really matter.
Okay.
And let me get up the freaking story for that. I always double click this.
I know, so I still forget.
Stoner has
Trying to see what time these guys are coming.
sent in his character.
Oh, did he?
Sector.
You're on start ahead, man. I got what we're doing. It's fast.
I know, but if I have my mace out, it casts like.
Audible it. I wrote a whole description of what happens when you go to the Lord Mayor's Tower, but I didn't actually add it to the module. But I know what it is. You guys, you ready for role play?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So the appointed hour arrives, and you make your way to the mayor's residence, which is on the other side of the great bridge you have to cross. You go through the main wine road. You wind up at the Lord Mayor's house. And you go up to the guard, and you show them the magical disc that was attached to your letter. You present it to the guard. And the guard says, "This way, gentlemen, or ladies, or both. I don't know what the sex of our guard is."
Yes, please.
And he directs you into a very richly appointed hallway. And on the right-hand side of the hallway, there's a niche. And in the niche, it's about 5 foot deep, about 8 feet wide. He says, "Walk onto the pad," and the floor is slightly glowing green there. And he says, "Walk onto the pad, and when you're all assembled,
Shit.
press
Floor's gonna.
press the green button."
Shit. Oh, God.
I
All the
proceed.
magic items get nerfed that we just got.
I proceed forward and do exactly as instructed.
It's named.
And you do that, and you are teleported into the dining hall of the lustrum.
You shared all the map. I'm not looking at any of them, but you shared all the map. So you
Okay.
can actually look at everything.
There's like nothing on the map, so.
Good. I'm not looking at anything.
And,
That's a map.
and I just need to figure out how to do a few things here. All right, so the map is up.
We still streaming on? We're still
Sure, we're streaming.
Forget.
And so in the room, seated at the couch in the center, is this peculiar character, Carbob, the Fire Touch. And when I figure out where the heck her picture went, I will share it with you. I don't think I shared that one yet. Maybe I did.
Yeah, we do have it.
All
And
right.
I just go into my images. And I
So
see
she
that.
is a crazy-looking creature.
That's cool. That's you.
So she's got hair is fire, literally, it's on fire. Her skin is dark, almost obsidian, and she has all these glowing gold/fire streaked runes about her body. And she then proceeds to say to you, if I can find the right piece, there we go. So the room, this appears to both be a library and a dining area with a large table to the east, fireplace in the west. There's seating near the fireplace. Bookshelves are filled with tomes and scrolls of many sorts, some of them clearly magical, others sold as to defy time itself. The room is quite warm. It's about 80 degrees Fahrenheit, 30 degrees Celsius. There are windows above the bookcases and a stained glass that depict epic battles from books of lore. There are a few lights hanging above the ceiling that are magical light sources that fill the room with a bright but warm light. And into the east side of the room, there are 2 doors on either side of the smaller hearth, and you emerge in the northwest corner, and I will drop you on the map in a moment. Do this. And so you teleport, and you arrive. Actually, I put you in the wrong corner. But for this purpose, you're going to arrive in the northwest corner because that's where I dropped you.
Good enough.
And as you arrive, the Lord Mayor greets you. And tokens locked are unlocked. They should be unlocked. Right?
They're unlocking.
I just need to make this map a little smaller so I can actually put it. So I'll read the text. So Carbass says to you, "I bid you welcome to my home and thank you for accepting my invitation. I'm sure you have questions, so let me give you a little explanation as to the pretext for this dinner. I, among other things, command the Illyrium, who you no doubt have ascertained are the law in this town. They've been keeping an eye on all of you and all of the travelers in the city, and I will say you in particular. I'm pleased to see that you comported yourselves well in our fair city, and that you also have the confidence and skill and wit to not be concerned by the lesser troubles that afflict travelers around the lands. My current duties as Lord Mayor consist of keeping order in Irksum and keeping the greedy merchants from overstepping the bounds. This consumes far more of my time than I would like, so it leaves me unable to pursue other objectives. I know who you are, but I've not met in person. Could you please introduce yourselves?" So you can just go around and say who you are. That way we can tell everybody on the stream who we are.
Yeah, go around this one.
Sure. So I am Holy Mon. So I am a football life cleric, and for the stream, Gwydion. So nice to see everybody. Like, thank you for inviting us to dinner, Carbath, and we're welcome to be here. Please speak.
Excellent.
Yes, I am. Trying to remember my
Sir
full
John.
name.
Yes, that's right.
I am Sir Donu Durith, Thunder Tentagut, the wooden-headed hunter. I am a Furbolg grave cleric, and I am Tall Joe.
All right. I'm Rob. My character's name is Boar, a very clever switching around of Rob. I am a barbarian fighter of extraordinary magnitude, and I wield a very special life-stealing great axe. And
Which you're gonna have to name, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
I'm gonna have to name it. Okay, I'll think about that. My first inclination is the axe's name is You're Fucked, but I'm gonna maybe change that. I'm gonna maybe think about that. And happy to be invited to the dinner and pass to Joe.
I'll jump in while
Yeah.
he's
Okay.
finishing up there. I'm Urosh. I'm playing Poppy, the rogue swashbuckling arcane trickster rogue, and we will be meeting with Carbath here in her fine dining room, as you probably can see on the screen. And we're looking forward to getting in the middle of Clancy's adventure here. Joe.
Yeah, I'm Joe, 813210, first stream. I am playing a Yuan-Ti pureblood paladin.
Excellent. All right, well, I bid all of you have a seat. Dinner will be served shortly. And so you can all seat yourselves around the table. There are no other guests other than yourselves and Carbath. Because I made my beginning generic so that if there were people who didn't know each other, they can all just meet at the dinner.
Excellent. Just waddle all that way.
And she's going to sit
Where
on
does
this
she
couch, which is facing the wrong direction at the head of the table.
Okay.
So ignore the fact it's facing the wrong direction.
I will sit immediately to her right.
Okay. And as you're sitting, I'll start with the next part of her text. So you may have noticed I signed my letter with my other title, and perhaps the more important one. I am a member of the Order of the Convergent Flame, which is one of the 4 elemental orders of sorcerers. My title, Quatre, means I'm the 4th in the hierarchy of leadership. You may have not known of the 4 elemental orders before this, and that is perhaps a result of us being, well, too effective at staying behind the scenes. The orders were formed in the ages before recall of most, and were a secret society of sorts, not linked to a sovereign, but rather to keep the lights on in the constant struggle between the forces of darkness and chaos. In this land we all come home. Call home, sorry. We are commanded as such by the Council of Elements, which are the 4 primaries of each order. This group meets infrequently and sometimes goes years between meetings. Eternal struggles, of course, or work on a timescale beyond mortal reckoning. There are actions that I can take as the Lord Mayor and as the Quatre, but there are some things I cannot or specifically should not be doing myself. I'll get right to the point. I have a need for a stalwart group of adventurers to take care of this matter for me. It's not best if I'm seen involved directly, but I have a need now, and at such as my table. At my table, there's a group such as you that is assembled, that you may be able to help me with my task. What I need you to do is I need you to recover an artifact that's very important to my order. This was stolen by a master thief from my residence when I was abroad. The artifact was taken at the request of one of my rivals. And the last information I have, that I was able to scry the lands to where it was, I believe it is still on display and not that far from Erkson. Recovering this artifact is not a simple operation. My rival is a wizard of considerable skill, and he has likely raised or summoned all kinds of minions to defend his prize. Fortunately for me, I have protected the artifact in some complex spellwork to prevent its abuse. But that spellwork will not hold up forever, so I need it recovered quickly. This wizard, Bakat, and she spits out his name, resides in his tower. I know how cliche, freaking lives in a tower. But this is not a normal spire by any means. He has taken control over the Shimmering Tower, an ancient magical construct, which is likely a prize in itself, but also probably beyond your ability to capture or take over. It would require many in my order to wrest back control of its magic from Bakat, its corruption. But that task would be far easier if Bakat was no longer a concern. The reason I need you for this task is my order is, well, not convinced that direct action against the cod is advisable at this time. She pauses for a minute. What they do not know, however, is the artifact is missing, and I prefer that information does not become widely known. A group of adventurers going after the mystery of the Shimmering Tower would not be surprised at any of my order, but succeeding against Vikat in his place of power might be unexpected. She pauses for a minute, and food is served, wine is poured, all those kind of things happen. I don't expect you to undertake this adventure purely for my benefit, so if there's a boon request you have of me, it will be granted. This is a city of incredible riches and magics, both of which could be used for formulating an acceptable reward. Anything recovered beyond the artifact and the Shimmering Tower itself is of course yours to keep. And with that, she pauses and lets you know that she'd be willing to entertain your questions.
Thank you for that wonderful background and appreciate giving us so much detail. Have you sent other parties on this quest yet?
There was one party, my advisors thought they might be successful. I didn't think they would be, and we've not heard back from them.
So as far as you know,
That was
they're
about
still-
2 months ago. And I'm afraid that Bakat's probably getting closer to unlocking the secret of the artifact. As much as I dislike him, he is actually somewhat of a slightly competent mage.
Anybody else have questions? How long do we have? Is there a time limit when we need this back and when the magic will?
Well, this is a race against the clock, not in the literal sense, but I don't know how long it'll take Bakat to unwind my spell work and release the artifact. If he releases the artifact, it will unfortunately advantage the darkness and chaos side of the struggle, which I'd like to prevent. And also, I'm not sure how long before the rest of my order realizes that the artifact is not currently in my possession. So I think we have some time, but I don't think we have a lot of time. So
Do we
probably
find
days to weeks, not months.
the nature of this artifact?
Well, for reasons of operational security, I'm not going to describe what the artifact does itself, but I will tell you what it looks like and how you can determine what it is. And in sort of a moment of whimsy, I turned the artifact so it looks like a cask of fine spirits. And it says Lafrogue on it. Nice. How's that? And so it looks like an ordinary object. And so when you're inspecting, an area, if you see other crates and barrels, it may be hidden amongst there. But I fully suspect that this is commanding all of Bakat's attention right now, and it'll be very close to where he is. But it won't look like anything in particular.
Does it give off any specific magical
Yes. Hold on, let me
vibes,
find my
waves,
stupid.
to allow for its easier detection?
It's not. It's resistant to scrying location, so it will not be found by that means. I, of course, since I ensorcelled it, I have a way of detecting where it is, and I am certain that it is now in the Shimmering Tower. I don't know exactly where in the tower it is, but I am certain it is there, and I have a better description of it. Let me just find where the hell I put it. I forgot a copy of the module. So the way I did this is I wrote a Word document.
As you were saying.
Yeah. And then shitload of cut and paste. All right. So, more specifically, the small cast is 10 inches in diameter at the ends, 16 inches in diameter in the center, and 24 inches tall. The non-visual difference is the cast weighs much less than even an empty wooden cast weighs. It only weighs 5 pounds. Other than its weight, it looks and feels very much like the real object. The markings where it says Lafrogue are at the flat, round ends of the cask. And the one peculiar thing when you move this object is when you move it, it feels like you're dragging it through water. And it only occurs when it's been resting, and it lasts for the first minute of movement. And to sort out the metagaming, so if you pick it up and you move with it, you run at 50% speed for a minute, which is an important thing to know. And if you keep moving, it doesn't impact your movement anymore. But if you stop, it resets. So once you pick it up and move, you want to keep moving. And I did that to, let's just say, encumber anyone who might take it from me. And then if you were to run a detect magic spell, it doesn't return a magical signature unless you're a super high level spellcaster, which none of you are high enough. How's that?
Detect magic, you said?
Say again?
It will not be detected by detect magic?
Yeah,
spell?
if you do a detect magic in a warehouse full of casts, you will not find that particular cast to be magical unless you were above a 20th level spellcaster.
Let's say we were trying to search for it and using a spell such as locate object. What?
It would not help you find it in a specific place. It would tell you a general area where it would be.
Excellent. Thank you.
Like the tower, as opposed to what floor or what room.
So, we're certainly a reasonably well-equipped party, but is there anything specific that you can give to us that would help us along our way?
Well, one of the things that I find very cumbersome about traveling abroad is waking up surrounded by monsters. And so my order has been researching using ancient magics. And we have come up with a way of transporting ourselves at great speeds across great distances using ley lines. And ley lines are paths of magical energy. And we've created a method where you can transport over the ley line and go to points on the ley line almost instantaneously. And so we've fabricated some tokens that will let you do that. And if you prove yourselves worthy and you return the artifact, we'll make those available to you, or at least all the surviving members of your party. And that's what I want to do for 5e picket games for Tier 2, by the way.
Cool.
So you don't have to spend all your time trogging through the countryside, or Tier 3 or something, I don't know. But anyway.
Part of that is that I don't have anything. Like I'm sending the party to the Fear Forest to fight the elves, but there's no encounter for that. But I know it's going to take 3 sessions for them to get there, so I can
build it later.
Part of that is me just being lazy.
You got some time, baby. That's part of it. You got to go.
But if we had the instantaneous travel,
As long as
So the way that I thought of the ley lines, and so she gives a talk about ley lines, and so Irksome is at the intersection of multiple ley lines, as well as the Shimmering Tower. And so there are essentially, think of it like a highway system where you go from here and then you cut over and then you go up to here. And so you can travel to many places in the lands. And in the nexus points where the ley lines converge, you can go to multiple places. On the edge of the ley line, you have to travel overland to get to the ley line. When you're on the ley line, you can use a token and then you can go anywhere else on that point.
Okay.
And so it cuts down a lot of the ground travel.
She's telling us that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so what you can tell is that this is her research, and she's incredibly excited about it. She's sharing more than she should, and she's had a little bit of one.
Everybody else, that's probably all I have.
my only question, lady, is when should we set out and how soon can we get there?
If you muster here, back at my house, when you're ready to travel, I will get you through magical transport means to the town of Canal Town, which is it's a 2-day march from Canal Town to the Shimmering Tower. I dare not send you directly over the ley line for 2 reasons. One, it would alert Makat to your presence, and it would also inform others of my existence. And I'd rather neither of those hands be tipped. But I can provide you with maps, so you've got the maps of the whole area. What I didn't show you on the map is if you, let me bring it back up. I keep clicking the thing twice and it only gives me quick words. So if you see the city of Irksam here, let me draw a little pointer. So Irksam is here. Yeah, sorry.
oh, cool.
So Irksam is there. Canal Town is here. And the Shimmering Tower is here. And the reason this is called Vulture Lake or Buzzard Lake is because when I looked at it from the side, it looked like a freaking buzzard.
Nice.
Yeah.
So that's why I called it that. So what'll happen is she will teleport you basically to Canal Town. You will take a boat or a set of boats across the lake, which takes a day, and you'll arrive on the small little island here, and then you can go to the tower. And so let me know when if there's any other things you need to do in town, or if you're ready to just get over there, and then we can set up for Battle Royale.
I was gonna say, we have a short battle that we need to go to first.
Yeah.
We'll
We have to go
be
to
happy
arena battle
We have to kill
against
each
our
other.
will, where we're thrown in and only one person lives, but it's not real.
Many people like to.
So we'll just role play to get to the tower, and then we'll pause
Oh,
it.
there's a couple,
Okay.
like how many days are passing? There's a couple things that I want to do.
So let's say you have a day of preparation in the city, and you have a day of transit. So you have 2 days to do stuff.
Is it okay if, like, I have him cast a couple spells that lead to up my rod of absorption, or do you want me to start with one?
I'll start with 4.
Fair enough. The other thing is some of the spells that I have come from Book of Lost Spells, but you don't have those.
Yeah, and when I bought it, and now when I restart the table after we go to Battle Royale, it'll show up.
Okay, cool. Awesome.
Because of you. No, I like the Book of Lost Spells too.
Okay.
It's got some pretty cool stuff in it.
Yeah. All right, so you go back to the Lord Mayor's house. The guard greets you. He directs you to the same chamber where you're in. You see that he does something on the side of the wall. He turns the dial to Canal Town. And he says, okay, when you're ready to depart, press the button. So you press the button, you're teleported to Canal Town. Canal Town is on the banks of the lake, and the reason it's called Canal Town is there's a man-made canal from the lake to the river, which helps on commerce quite a bit, because the other parts of the river have too many rapids. And when you get to Canal Town, you find there are, the normal things in a small town, inns, and you also find that there is a boat rental available at reasonable rates, crew included. And when you inquire to your Shimmering Tower, you find a bit of resistance. People are like, try to avoid that area. But you find one captain. There's a riverboat captain, with a small sail, short sail, a square sail rigger. He's like, well, I could take you to the peninsula where the isle sits. It'll take many days off your journey, but you still probably have a 4-hour hike to get to the tower. I don't want to get that close. And I'll do that for the, really bargain basement sum of 100 gold.
I want to ritually cast Water Walk on all of us before we get on the boat.
Excellent, please. All right, so you get
How
on the lake.
how long does that last?
1 hour.
Okay.
And so you get across the lake, you're in the middle of the lake, you can start to see the tower in the distance. And what I mean by seeing the tower in the distance is you see a short stone tower, maybe of a floor or 2 in height, and then above it, you just see distortions in the sky, right? And so the sun reflects off the sky. It kind of looks like a mirage a little bit, where they got the heat thing. It spins, and then you get sparkles, and almost like starlight comes through it once in a while. But you don't see anything above this sort of let's call it 1.5 story stone tower. Boar, D20 in the chat.
Okay.
Stay loose.
Yeah.
All right, you're good. So you make it to the peninsula. The captain departs, and you start, if we need to pick up, what do we do? And he's like, you're on your own.
Good luck.
Good luck. Don't write us, we'll write you. And he departs, and you have no mishaps or adventures. You start marching towards the tower, and you get into sight of it. You're not you can see it close in the distance. You're still in some, small woods, not very heavy. It's mostly a grassy area around here. And you get essentially to the point where in about 15 minutes you could go to the base of the tower. The tower itself, the part you can see clearly, is your traditional round tower. It has 4 small towers, almost like minarets on the side, a round top with crenellations, battlements, and the normal kind of thing. And aside from the fact the sky above it looks freaky as hell, it looks like your run-of-the-mill, basic, tower that a small noble might have for defense. And I think that's a good stopping point.
Excellent.
All right.
That's cool. Love the setup.
Good times. For those of you watching the stream, I'm going to stop it and restart it so that I have a separate instance of Battle Royale. Be back in a couple minutes. Edward Dragon.